If you've had your testosterone tested, the chances are that you got one number, total testosterone. And the chances are somebody told you that that number was either too low or too high or normal, and that was the end of the story. Now, that number does tell you something, but it doesn't tell you the entire story. And for a lot of men, the part that nobody measured is the part that explains how they actually feel. This video is about the difference between total testosterone and free testosterone. Total testosterone is exactly what it sounds like. It's all the testosterone that's in your blood at the moment that they take the sample. It sounds complete, but it really is not, because your body cannot actually use all of that testosterone. It doesn't freely flow on its own. In fact, about 98% of the testosterone in your body is bound to protein. Two proteins do most of the sticking. One is called sex hormone binding globulin, or SHBG for short. And this protein binds testosterone very tightly. The other protein is albumin, which holds testosterone loose. The small amount that's attached to nothing at all, that right there is your free testosterone. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's not called free testosterone because they don't charge you for the blood draw. It's called free testosterone because that testosterone floats around freely in the body and can actually be used by your cells. And that right there is the whole point. Total testosterone counts everything. The stuff that's locked up and the stuff that's free. And it counts it all in one number. And that's the problem. It can't tell you how much your body can actually reach and how much it can actually use. Free testosterone is usually about 2 to 3% of your total testosterone. It's a really small slice, but it's the part that actually does the work. When a cell needs testosterone, like a muscle cell or a brain cell or a blood cell, it uses free testosterone. Whatever SHBG is bound to, that's off the table. It can't be used. There's a useful middle layer too, because albumin only binds testosterone very loosely. That part can actually be used by your body as well. So your free testosterone and your loosely held testosterone, that's what's called your usable or your bioavailable testosterone. The part that SHBG is gripping very tightly, it's pretty much locked away and it's useless. Still, when you get your number for your total testosterone, it's still part of that measurement. This is why two men can have the same exact total testosterone but feel completely differently. If one of them has a higher SHBG, more of his free testosterone is locked up, and his body ultimately has less to work with. So even though they have the same number on paper, these men have very different amounts of testosterone that their body can actually use. Now, what's alarming is that SHBG is the thing that most men, and a lot of doctors even, don't ever measure. And it isn't fixed. It shifts with your weight, your age, your thyroid, and even how your body handles insulin. Carrying extra weight tends to lower it. Aging and increased thyroid activity tend to raise it. The more SHBG you have, the more of your body's testosterone is locked up, and the less pool of testosterone your body has to actually use. Aging makes this clear. When you follow the same group of men over several years, their total testosterone tends to decline, and it usually declines by about 1 to 2% per year. At the same time, their SHBG is slowly increasing. When you put those two together, the declining testosterone and the rising SHBG, what you start to see is that your total testosterone starts to decline and your SHBG starts to increase. So your usable testosterone is falling a lot faster than your total testosterone might imply. So a man can land right in the normal range for total testosterone, and his usable testosterone, that is his free testosterone, the part that actually does the work, can be completely out of range. He's got all the symptoms, but his total testosterone number says that he's fine. His free testosterone number, however, says something else entirely. And without measuring SHBG, that number never even gets calculated altogether, because free testosterone is calculated by your total testosterone levels, your SHBG levels, and your albumin levels. When you leave SHBG out of the picture, the most useful number, free testosterone, never even gets calculated. So a real evaluation needs to do more than just hand you one bigger? Here's what the panel that we use is built to answer and why each piece is on there. Your actual testosterone situation, total SHBG and free testosterone all together. That's the difference between a single data point and a holistic picture that your clinician can actually act on, where the problem is actually coming from. Luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone are the signals that your brain sends down to your testes. Measuring these tells the clinician whether low testosterone is coming from the testes themselves or it's coming from poor signaling from the brain. Those are two different problems with two different treatment approaches. And looking at total testosterone alone doesn't give the clinician enough information to determine where the issue is coming from, what it's turning into. Some of your testosterone gets converted into estrogen, more specifically estradiol. That's part of the picture, and it's part of how the treatment plays out. So it's worth looking at rather than simply guessing. It also looks at what else might be behind the issue. Thyroid, because it affects both how you feel and your SHBG, and prolactin, because when it runs a little bit too high, it can quietly shut down the signal that tells your body to make testosterone in the first place. If either one of those is off, you want to know, especially before you start to pin all the problems on one hormone. Finally, we want to measure whether it's safe or not. Because testosterone can thicken your blood, our panel watches red blood cell levels. Prostate biomarkers get checked as well. None of it is there to gatekeep you. It's there to make sure that you're healthy and you're safe before starting your therapy and while you take your therapy over time. Now, there's two practical things that decide whether this counts or not. First, when you get your blood drawn. Testosterone runs on a daily clock. It's highest in the morning and it slowly drifts downward as the day progresses. And that peak high in the morning starts to go down as you age. This is well established, and it's the reason why the panel needs to be drawn in between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning. Otherwise, the results won't be considered valid. A sample that's drawn at 2 p.m. is not a fair read, and it can't be used to qualify you for a treatment. So if you've been tested and you've been told that you're normal, but you don't feel normal, there's 3 questions that are worth asking. Number 1, what did they actually measure? Number 2, when did they draw it? And number 3, were SHBG and free testosterone actually on the list? That right there is usually the entire gap. It's the gap between what the number says and how you actually feel. The first step to all of this is a blood draw that's done right. And you can start that with our TRT companion panel at opimuslabs.com.